We are now watching multiple areas out in the Atlantic that run the risk of tropical development. One is a hurricane right now. This morning, it's a strengthening hurricane, and that is Gabrielle. It's actually forecast to become a major Category 3 storm. The good news with this hurricane is it's going to remain a fish storm, making a pretty close pass this morning to Bermuda, but not close enough to bring any kind of significant impacts or anything like that. But after we have a little segment on Gabrielle, we will speak on these two other tropical waves that have a shot to develop, and I really think we need to watch these. We'll compare all model guides and all that good stuff. After that, we'll speak on today's weather across the entire lower 48. Many areas run a risk of strong to severe thunderstorms. So we'll kind of zoom into a few states for you folks with that. And then we'll have a very small section at the very end of the video just speaking on a rainy pattern we are entering across the eastern U.S., a much needed rainy pattern that's going to put a dent in this drought for many states. So if you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it, and if anybody has anything I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below. Let's get rocking and rolling this morning. Let's make sure this is going to work. It is, so we're good to go. So that's Gabrielle. It's a strengthening hurricane. It looks pretty healthy, and it's well on its way to becoming a Category 2 hurricane and eventually a Category 3 hurricane per the National Hurricane Center. So, this is definitely going to get stronger than we thought previously. So we're going to continue to watch this system, but not expect it to bring any significant impacts in any kind of land or anything like that. These are the other two tropical waves we are watching. Both have a shot to develop. This one right here has a higher chance, but this is kind of the new wave on the block, if you will, and we're watching both of these. Anything else out there? There's this little gnarly spin right here, but we're not expecting anything from that. But there's multiple areas ongoing right now, just nothing threatening right at this second. So we continue to move past this, and let's just have a very small, let's show a little bit of attention to a Gabrielle, even though it's not really bothering anybody. It's close to Bermuda. You see that little area right there? That is Bermuda. But this system is not heading towards Bermuda. It's actually even beginning to kind of nudge to the east now, but definitely moving more so north right at this second. But if you look at these final few frames, you see the center of the storm, how it begins to clear out a little bit. The cloud tops begin to warm. And then around it, you got the blacks and the whites, even some flashes of pink. These are colder cloud tops, and this is just the eye wall and the strong convection around the actual center of circulation, which is right into here. But this thing is strengthening. It's gaining strength, and it's a pretty healthy low-end category. It's a pretty healthy low-end hurricane, if that makes sense. So let's continue to move. It is right now a Category 1 90-mile-per-hour hurricane. I could see this being upgraded to a Category 2 hurricane in the next update or two. And, by 2 p.m. This afternoon, in fact, it's a high-end Category 2 hurricane. So this is undergoing right now a moderate pace of strengthening for sure. But you can see how the cone is moving further out to the east away from Bermuda, so we're definitely happy about that. But by later tonight, this is most likely going to be a Category 3 major hurricane. But if we go on and zoom out, this is just going to race out into the North Atlantic. But of course, we need to watch our friends eventually way on down the road in Europe. I don't cover Europe. There's some other channels out there that do a great job doing that, but certainly need to watch for you folks on down the road. So that's an update on Gabrielle. These are our other two waves, just a closer look at them compared to the last frame we just showed you. Tropical wave number 1's right here, number 2's right here, and you would think this is number 1 and this is number 2. And the reason I say this is number 1 because this is the one we were watching first, and now we are watching this just as much as we're watching this one now. But they just look like your typical tropical waves. Nothing too special, nothing too crazy about them, but we are watching both. So just kind of wanted to show you a closer look at them. Now, if we look at the latest from the National Hurricane Center, this is the tropical wave that's out in front. The lead wave has a 30% chance to develop. So this area right here, the wave is right where that yellow X is, has a 30% chance to develop into a named storm or just a depression between now and the next 7 days. And listen, we have land in this area of interest region. I mean, you got pretty much areas of the Turks, Caicos Islands, the Bahamas, and the Caribbean islands. So that is this wave right here. This is the Lesser Antilles. That is this wave. Okay, so we have that, right? And then we have this, the wave behind it has a 60% chance to develop. in this orange area right here between now and the next 7 days. Then when I say develop, I mean into a depression or a next name storm, which is the H name Umberto, I believe is how you say it. So we have 2 waves out here. And if you take sort of when you look at this, it looks scary, right? I mean, if I looked at this and I had no information provided behind it, I would say, wow, that doesn't look too good. Now, the good look from this is that it looks like it's already kind of hooking north, right? But we need to watch these. This is definitely looking more active. So we're watching both of these tropical waves. Now let's go over model guidance for both at the same time. So this is starting off tomorrow morning, September the 23rd. If you want to follow along date-wise, not forget to mention it, just look up here, okay? So our first wave is sort of right in here. It's very disorganized and doesn't really stand out on the screen much. All right, so as we continue to move forward here, that first wave is right into here, just bringing some unsettled shower and storm activity across the Leeward Islands and the Virgin Islands, things like that. But the Euro really doesn't develop this system, and it's kind of right into here. It's not really separating itself from any other shower and storm action out there, so you can barely see it. So if I stop it here, this is this coming Thursday night into Friday morning. This is our lead wave right here. And you know what? To avoid confusion, we're going to call the lead wave the first wave. And I think that's the right way to do it. The way behind it is the second wave, even though the second wave is kind of what was the first area of interest. So the lead wave or first wave is right here. The wave behind it, which has a higher chance to develop, is right here. And it's already developing at this point. So we start to get into a Friday night. We still have kind of the leftover moisture from our first wave right into here, getting into, the Bahamas, things like that. And then we have a developing tropical system right here, 1,005 millibar low. And then this actually becomes a tropical storm. So if the Euro is correct, we have another named storm by this weekend. This is Saturday evening. And we also have a weak low pressure right here, kind of right beside each other. It's not super common to see something like that. And then we get about a week from today and we have another hurricane sitting well south and kind of southeast of Bermuda. And then we have an area of low pressure right here, bringing some rain into the southeast coastline. And then we just take it between day 7 and day 10. And things get weird. I'm not going to speak heavily on steering currents right now. There's no point in getting super detailed on that right this second. I'm going to give that a few days. But what happens here, some sort of pattern blocks this down. And then we have a hurricane sort of spinning in place out here for a few days. We got the moisture getting trapped by that same blocking feature in the upper levels of the atmosphere. So we got a lot of moisture just kind of hanging out here. And then we actually get a weak tropical system kind of early midway next week, kind of pushing into Florida. We still got a hurricane spinning around out here. And then finally, watch how it does kind of a loop-de-loop. It's just a weird steering pattern I think we need to watch for as we get into early October, late September. So that's the Euro. What about the GFS? Now the GFS, actually have not seen the morning run yet, so we're about to look at it together. But the GFS is really like the lead wave, the first wave. Okay, there goes Gabrielle, moving off her screen here. And then here, this is the first wave. Okay, this is getting into Friday morning, the 26th. We got a tropical storm around the Turks Caicos Islands. We have a hurricane now just east of the Bahamas. Okay, where's the wave behind it? It doesn't like the wave behind it developing. The GFS says, and the ensembles don't either. The GFS doesn't want anything to do with the wave behind it. That has a higher chance to develop per the National Hurricane Center. It really likes this first wave and develops it into a hurricane and gets very close as we are getting to the end of this coming weekend, we can say now, to the Outer Banks. In fact, it makes a technical landfall around about a week from today as a hurricane. Okay, and then we get some energy that looks like it's starting to slip into the Eastern Caribbean, which has been extremely quiet this hurricane season. And it does try to develop something down there, but I don't even think that's that one wave that has a higher chance to develop. So it's an interesting pattern setting up, guys, and I don't think it's going to be any short of tropical development. It's just, once again, the big question is any of this stuff going to impact anyone? I think we're going to, take a name or two over the next 10 days, A name or two, 1 to 2. But will they even impact anyone? Now, the Euro AI model, what does it show? There goes Gabrielle getting off our screen. First wave is somewhere into here. Second wave is right here. First wave really doesn't develop. Could help influence a big push of moisture across the greater Antilles and the Bahamas and the southeast coastline. But this low pressure you see right here, this is the one that has a 60% chance to develop right now. And it does develop it. And to Umberto is how you pronounce it, I think. And we have a strong tropical storm, low in Category 1 hurricane, splitting between Bermuda and the southeast coastline. But once again, it hooks and just kind of stays out to sea. I do want to watch for a pretty soggy pattern setting up for the southeast. So if you're wondering, man, is it ever going to rain again? If your area has not seen much rain over in the Carolinas and the southeast, Georgia, I really think a pattern sets up that can bring a lot of rain. But, that system moves away, and then the Euro AI model has another system. So if we look at the Euro ensemble, we're going to start this off. This is this coming Thursday afternoon. You see a few L's right in here. That is our first wave. You see a lot more L's clustered up right here. That is our second wave. Doesn't mean that we have, 10 low pressures out here. This is an ensemble run. It makes up 51 members. So you're going to see how these kind of separate themselves, right? So we take this into Friday afternoon. There's a signal for a wave developing right in here. A stronger signal right here off the Euro ensemble. And then we get deep into this weekend, and then we get into Sunday morning, and the signal for the second wave, which does have the higher chance to develop for the National Hurricane Center, is definitely stronger. Still a signal there on the Euro ensemble for the first wave, but the crazy thing is, the good thing is that when we go 10 days out, besides this just one hook and lateral like wave right here, doing something weird, no runs impact land, except we need to watch Bermuda as always because you guys are way out there. Okay, so that's what the Euro ensemble says. What about the GFS ensemble? It really just likes the first wave. It doesn't do much with the second wave at all. The first wave, it has a few members. And remember, this only makes up 21 members off the GFS ensemble. So naturally, you're not going to see as many members on your screen. But it really doesn't do anything with the wave behind it. It likes the first wave. But I will tell you that the GFS ensemble doesn't really follow its operational run much. All the members that form, for the most part, stay out to sea. You got a couple, that want to try to get into Florida, and you got a few right here getting very close, and some doing some weird things. And listen, the upper steering currents are it's going to be pretty weird as we get into early October. They normally are, climo speaking, because you got troughs, more cold fronts dipping down in October, things like that. And it's pretty crazy. We're almost about to enter October. We still have several days left in September though. So what's wild to me is the GFS ensemble doesn't want anything to do with the second wave. Now the Google DeepMind ensemble, which is, I'm still learning this. This is just kind of something that I'm going to see is when we kind of lay to rest hurricane season, when we get deep into November, December, can we look back at what I'm showing you here and say, hey, that's a great model we can look at. We'll see, right? But same thing with this. First wave is right here. Second wave has much more members. Okay, and we continue and we go all the way out to Sunday morning. I mean, but there's a pretty strong signal for this first wave too in it, but it really likes the second wave, and it has very strong members. Some of them are major hurricanes, but some is telling me that this model is just too aggressive. This ensemble is just way too aggressive. I'm starting to, it's kind of like with the Canadian model in the winter. The Canadian model, the CMC, always wants to make these winter storms much colder temperature-wise than what they really are. and most of the time they're wrong. You know, all models kind of have bias towards certain things. The Euro during the tropics tends to underdo the strength of tropical systems. That's one of its biases. But anyways, we're going to continue to watch this. I think we're going to have a lot of action in this area of the Atlantic over the next 10 days. We'll have to see. But as far as today's weather, big plume of moisture going across areas that need the rain bad. Follow somebody that lives in Missouri, and I didn't realize they went 100 days without measurable rainfall. That is just insane. We got rain moving through Arkansas, rain moving through areas of Illinois into Indiana, a little bit of rain into areas of Kentucky, Buda, Missouri. We zoom out, a little bit of rain moving across PA, a little bit of rain going into southern Ontario. We could get a little bit of shower activity into the Adirondacks. We need some rain up here. What about down here in the southeast? Not much of anything. We got an area of showers and storms moving across northern Texas and waking up to a little bit of some boomers across southeast Minnesota, getting into Wisconsin, some heavy rain, and then this is out west, some shower activity. So watches, warnings, and advisories, just some dense fog out here, which is in the gray shaded counties. Nothing too crazy. The risk of severe weather today, guys. I mean, many areas run a risk of it. In that dark green across the Ohio Valley down to the Mid-South, that is a level 1 out of 5 risk of severe weather. The light green, you know, just a general risk of thunderstorms. Right here in the middle of the country, we got the marginal risk level 1 out of 5, but then we have a bimodal setup of slight risk. So, you know, Oklahoma City up to Dodge City, Garden City, Woodard, you guys have a level 2 out of 5 risk of severe weather. And then Omaha, you're right in the middle of another slight risk area, level 2 out of 5 risk. Tornado threat is at a 2% risk for both of these areas. So if you live in that green, 2% risk of a tornado. And then the wind threat, 15% risk of winds exceeding 55 to 60 miles per hour. We'll kind of go up here. And then the hail threat, each of these areas have a 15% risk of hail exceeding 1 inch in diameter or larger. And then we do need to watch out for Kansas and areas of northern Oklahoma for a 15% risk of excessive rainfall. So let's break it down section by section. The southeast today could have some showers that kind of drift into the Georgia, low country of South Carolina coastline. Some scattered showers and storms across southern Florida. Most of the action is going to be further to the Mississippi River. We're going to have some storms cruising across western Tennessee, Kentucky, more storms dancing around Arkansas. And getting into tonight, we could have widespread rain across Tennessee and Kentucky. But just taking a look at Tennessee, a closer look at Tennessee and Kentucky, this is 11 a.m., this is lunchtime, this is 1, 2, 3, 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m. Bowling Green getting some storms. Nashville, Lexington, 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m. Midnight tonight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. So just a solid 24-hour period, even more of shower and storm activity. So we get into the Northeast today. Some much-needed rain could begin to enter western New York State. We'll see if that happens, but some showers and storms are possible in western New York. And then as we get into the central areas of the state, more storm activity is possible. But we're going to have a big line of storms that pushes through Ohio, northern Kentucky, getting into areas of West Virginia. And I do think it weakens tonight as it moves into PA. And then we're going to have some much-needed light to moderate rain that makes it all the way into the interior areas of the Northeast. But closer look at Ohio here. And we're getting into 2 p.m., 3 p.m. Look at these storms moving through Dayton, Columbus, Mansfield, Portsmouth, or Portsmouth, not sure how y'all pronounce that. Cleveland, Canton, Youngstown. This is getting into this evening. So certainly a big cluster of storms will move across this area. South central U.S., widespread showers and storms throughout the day across Arkansas. More and more just will develop. And then we'll have some energy that moves out of Colorado and ejects across areas of Oklahoma and Kansas later tonight. You can see all that rain and storm action. And then we're greeted to just more storm action tomorrow morning. And just a closer look at, say, Oklahoma. A lot of this action will not get going until later tonight. This is 1 o'clock in the morning. Northern counties of Oklahoma getting some nasty storms. So just be aware of this. You know, if you go to bed tonight up here in the northern communities of Oklahoma, southern Kansas, and you're thinking, man, the weather people got it wrong. Just hold tight because these storms can move in late tonight. And then this is getting into tomorrow morning. And this is a closer look at Kansas also. Same thing, this is 9 p.m. Colby just now getting some storms. These storms will start to cluster up around Dodge City. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. And man, these storms look pretty intense between Dodge City, Hutchinson, Wichita. This area right here, some large hail, damaging winds, even a brief tornado is possible. So it's going to be a loud overnight period, especially across the southern areas of Kansas. So the north central U.S. is what we're looking at. Some scattered showers across Wisconsin, getting into the UP. Definitely more of a summer-like pattern up here for now. And we're getting into this evening, the overnight hours, and some showers and storms will be dancing around across Nebraska, getting into Iowa. And we do need to watch later tonight. There is a slight risk here near Omaha, west and east, north and south of it. So, and once again, even for this area, watch out later tonight for these storms to be more active in this area. So, lot of individual areas running risk of showers and storms. And then this is the western U.S. We have a lot of shower and storm action across Wyoming. Higher elevation snow. It's getting later in the year now, so we're going to start to get some more snow mixing in, and that'll become a common word the deeper we get into the year. And then this is getting into tomorrow morning. Temperatures, pretty warm across the eastern U.S., unless you're being affected by cloud cover and rain, stuff like that. And then we got an area of cooler air across the western U.S., but once you get away from that, it starts to warm up, like, the Valley of California. It's warming on up. So, active pattern between now and, this weekend setting up. This is how much rainfall could happen between now and next Monday morning. Several inches of rainfall, especially from northern Arkansas through Kentucky, Tennessee, the southern areas of Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, getting into West Virginia. Look at the rainfall into the Carolinas. And, just looking at the mid-Atlantic here, I mean, much needed rain across the mid-Atlantic, upper southeast, all the way up the I-95 corridor. And then we look at the northeast. I mean, we're going to put a dent into this drought with this pattern upcoming. We're just going to have numerous showers and storms, at least a risk of them each and every day. Now, for areas like to the south, I don't think that we'll get more into this active pattern until we get closer to the weekend. But we'll continue to watch. That's all I got, guys. Sorry I don't have a devotion this morning. Monday mornings is definitely a morning where I sleep in a little bit more. So we'll certainly get consecutive days in a row going this week with a Bible devotion. So anything else that I got? I don't think so, guys. That's about it. Appreciate the support. Thank y'all for everything. Thank you to the members. I haven't really thanked y'all in a long time. Appreciate people who are members to the channel. You guys are truly the foundation, and I really thank y'all for supporting me. Thank you for the people who do super thanks. Really, really appreciate that. And I'm really behind on comments. I don't think I've answered them since Thursday afternoon. So was off work Friday, so it was just kind of a weird day where just didn't have time to get to them throughout the weekend. So I'll get caught up with everything this afternoon. But appreciate y'all. Have a wonderful start to your week, and we'll talk again soon. God bless.